Hello, and welcome to Creative You Yarn Shop Podcast. I am podcasting from my home today in Hanover, Pennsylvania. At the yarn shop, there's just so much harsh fluorescent lighting that I kept moving my chair all over the shop, and I just couldn't find a spot that it looked nice. So I carted all my things home. And I'm here to finish the rest of the Knitting Fever trunk shell. So you're all welcome into my home. It's December 23rd. And my husband had the idea, he saw it on television and media, to decorate kind of like a ladder as a tree. So behind me, you can see a little bit of it. And then we needed a point. So he had the flag from his dad's burial. His dad was a veteran. The new dog, Hartley, he's always with us. And so he started to wander off. And where did we find him? Sitting at the very base of this, almost like sitting under a Christmas tree. It's just so endearing. He's, I think, used to being outside, and it was really cute. I did hear about a family in Georgia who got a Christmas tree and there was an owl in it. Now, wouldn't that be wild? You bring your tree home and that night you go to bed and you hear hoot, hoot. That would be really, really strange. Years ago, I heard about a couple that bought a sofa at a thrift shop and they took it home, and as days went by, they started to notice this bad odor coming from the sofa. And they looked under the cushions, they couldn't see any spots, and they didn't understand. Finally, about day 3, they turned the couch upside down, and here was a cat in the sofa, scared to death, hiding. And when the thrift shop contacted the people who donated the sofa, they said, you know, when our cat disappeared, we did not associate it with giving the couch away. So anyway, here we go. At the end of the year, there's always a lot of regrets, like the things you didn't make, things you didn't get finished, the yarns you didn't get to touch, and of course there's always next year. I think most of you saw this entrechot. I did it for my granddaughter. Now I'm ready to give it to her, and when I put the button on, I found out that I really don't have a buttonhole. There's a space there that's so tiny. And what do they say? Necessity is the mother of invention. I have my Christmas hat on here. Happy Hanukkah to any Jewish viewers. So I'm faced with a dilemma. What do? I could put a decorative button on it, but then I'd have to sew it shut and she'd have to pull it over her head. I could leave it as is. I could give her a magnetic pin to close it, but I mean, she's 10 and she'd probably lose it. And I could try to force the yarn apart and create a buttonhole. But it came to me driving home. I think maybe I'll just sew a snap on it. I don't think I have a snap in this house, or the other option would be maybe I could crochet a little loop. If you have any other ideas, let me know, because she'll be here any day and it's time to give it. Okay. Another thing that I've been working on, I accepted a commission for a knitted stocking. And I don't know if the word duplicate or replicate is the right word, but this is the woman's stocking. And it's obviously a vintage pattern. I really couldn't tell, is this an O or is this a wreath? But it's a wreath. And if you can see the area where those stitches pouch out, that is when someone rips the stitches back and they rip them out the wrong way so that the stitch is on the needle the wrong way. And the way you can tell is, normally you can see the front of the stitch, but you can't see the back. When your stitch is turned, you can see the front and the back. So you can either turn the stitch around or knit into the back. But if you don't, then you get that. So I was able to find the right colors, and I really didn't have the right pattern. There's my duplicate stitching I'm doing. I did a little video of that. The Christmas tree I have to tear out. When it comes to duplicate stitching, don't think it's common sense, because it's not the way you think you should do it. So I called her tomorrow's Christmas Eve. I said it will be finished, so I know what I will be doing this evening. Okay, to finish the trunk show, this is Paca Pura. It's 100% alpaca. It's a sport weight. It's very soft. It's squishy. It does stripe. There's a pattern called the multi-directional scarf, which is modular knitting, which really looks pretty in this yarn. But there's the finished shirt, and I'm assuming you could do it with long sleeves too. It is really soft, and I bet it's warm too. There is a patterned front, pickup stitches, and a cable neck. Even though it's sport weight, it really does feel warm. I thought the sleeves were doubled. The back is just simple. And short tops are in right now, so I think I might like to do this in the new year. I don't know what the stitch is, but I like it. And that, I think, for this medium size is about a 3 skein project. So that is that. I am wearing the top made out of Uluru Rainbow. Uluru is a Queensland yarn. It's a place in Australia. This is one of their patterns, which is a rectangular scarf, which I think is very pretty. Hi, Hartley. Hartley's sitting here. He likes to be with me. And then this is the other pattern. Wow, look at those colors. You know, years ago, some of you have probably heard me tell this, I knew this cute little chiropractor, and she was talking about a doctor that she was sharing an office. And she said, the guy's a quack. I didn't know this doctor, and you have to be very, very careful what you say. And I said, why? And she said, I heard him tell a patient she needs more red. Well, when I went to nursing school, it was a 1-year intensive program, and we had a teacher who was very intense. And the next to last day of class, she gave us all assignments. And she said, don't you think that you're going to rest on your laurels? You're going to work up until the last day. My assignment was to find out how color affects us. Well, back then, you know, you couldn't find anything. You weren't searching an internet. You didn't have the web. And I went to the library, and I found very little about color and how it affects us. But after I learned about it, I thought that would be so important in a nursing home. So the warm colors, red, orange, hot pink, yellow, they grab your attention. So they are used by the Department of Transportation. Think of stop signs and hazard signs and the yellow tape around the crime scene. But they also make us feel energetic and optimistic. So if you see someone who has a very bright shirt like this, it magnetizes you. And I have seen that happen in the yarn shop. People that come in wearing bright colors, people start talking to them. Oh, I like your shawl. What pattern is that? I like it. This is a very bright color. Restaurants used to use a lot of orange, and they would say that orange stimulates your appetite. This is a shawl that I've shown before called Definitely Diagonal, and the neutral colors are said to make the bright colors pop. So people like to see bright colors on other people. However, I find that women themselves tend to kind of be afraid to wear bright colors. I'm not sure why. This is another bright project. This is Tahiti, Katia Tahiti, and it's just a simple triangular shawl. And I have a customer who made this, and she tells me when she comes in wearing it, I get so much attention when I wear this. So what about muted colors? This is another Uluru shawl, but it's muted. So muted colors tend to, can actually make you feel down, or if you're excitable, can calm you down. The brighter the color and the more vibrant, the more uplifted you feel. Years ago, my daughter-in-law painted her dining room like a bright lime. And she said, this is the hottest color. It's used for doctor's offices. Yes, but think about it. You're in and out of the doctor's office. So it's bright, it's cheerful. But to live with it, within a year, she repainted. So sad colors can be muted colors, dark and grays. Black is a color of mourning. So it made me wonder, because I saw this commercial with Sion Deline where she's in a baby nursery and she sweeps her hand and turns all the baby's clothing into black and gray. You know, now that kind of bothers me, and I'm wondering what is the significance of that, because black is a color of death. Black is actually like all colors thrown together, and white is the absence of color. As you get older and your hair gets white, it's the colors, it's the pigment leaving your hair, so your hair starts to get lighter and lighter, and then white. So pastel colors, peach, mint, light pink, lilac, also uplift the mood. And cool colors like green, purple, and blue are calm and soothing, and they're good for your bedroom because you want to go to sleep. Bright neon colors make you alert. Royal blue, turquoise, magenta, and emerald are refreshing and energizing. Purple is a combination of a warm color red and a cool color blue. It combines calm and intense and causes you to be creative. So there's just a little plug on colors. I guess when this was designed, this is Pimacura. It's beautiful cotton. They used the vibrant lime color with the dark green, which I think this is really gorgeous. And then here is the hat. And then the mitts are all three of these colors. The Pimacura is a soft worcester weight cotton, and it's also warm in the winter. And you have the cable and the striping down the center with a plain back. If you haven't worn any of these little capelets, they're not only really comfortable, but you have your arms free to drive in different things. Now, talking about colors, this was Louisa Harding Azalea, and you can see how those colors are very calming. So, I mean, what if you wanted to knit a shawl for an elderly person in a nursing home? Do you want something soothing and calming, or do you want something to brighten them up? So here would be some choices. Some people love blacks and grays because they go with anything, and some people love to wear black and gray. This is a set done with Sulka, which is a merino alpaca silk yarn, and again, very, very bright. Keep in mind though, when you knit something as a gift, You really want to find out what color their coat is, or you spend your time and money. Man, look at that pom-pom. And it's not the right color. So I usually involve people. If you watch a video on YouTube about pom-poms, they tell you to actually go through the ball when you fasten it, or you end up with eventually with a wobbly pom-pom, but that seems to sit on there really nice. Okay. Back to the Boomerangs Shawls. There's so many ways that you can wear these. A lot of people don't think this, but you can start at the corner and wrap it. Like that. Most people don't think about it. You can also put that over your shoulder or pin it. You can wear it as a scarf. I mean, there are so many different ways to wear a boomerang shawl. But isn't that gorgeous? And just from wearing this for the podcast, it feels great. I think I should make one. So that was called the Violet Shawl. These patterns are available on knittingfever.com. This is the top, which you would find under the Pack of Pura, under Mirasol. There are the mittens and hat. So I've been trying to learn a little bit more about how to do a good video. A lot of my videos are really not good quality, and I've been really slow to learn how to do it. So I am proud of myself. I did learn how to crop, and I did learn how to insert words now. So hopefully next year, which will be my second year in podcasting, I will be better and give you a better program. I had talked about doing science experiments with kids. Some years ago, I got to hear Dr. Penn Carson speak at McDaniel College, which is my alma mater. And he was saying, why don't they put a scientist on the Wheaties box? Because we make scientists look like nerds, and then we make sports look phenomenal. So I had found this book at probably a thrift shop, but it turned out to be really good. And my grandson and I, we found a lot of neat things to do in here, and it was all things that we had at home, like blowing up a balloon, dissolving the shell of an egg. I mean, some books just have a lot of things that you don't have at home. The upside down water trick, and so forth. This one was a book that I bought, which is a hardcover, and it's really nice. It defines disasters. It gets into disasters like tsunamis. We created like a whirlwind in a cup. So it tells you about all these things about nature, and then it gives you an experiment to do. And turning bone to rubber. So lots of fun. This one is by Jean Potter, and it's called Science in Seconds. You know, I know when I was a kid, I did not have a good imagination when it came to the science fair, and I was clueless. I did something really babyish, like grew mold in a jar. So here's a water spin, you know, how to make a button spin, so momentum and kinetic energy. So just some ideas. Some of you have asked me what kind of things we've done. Okay, this is done with Sunshine Coast, which is a bamboo merino yarn that stripes. It feels really nice and soft and good. It's a DK weight. And I have used Sunshine Coast for a lot of projects. I like it a lot. They've brought out new colors and everything like that. So, what is in the future? My husband called today and he said, you know, what are you doing? Are you coming home soon? I was sick for a week and he managed the shop. And what a different, weird feeling to be home waiting for him to come home. Thinking, okay, the shop closed an hour ago. Why isn't he home? Then it was me calling and saying, hey, are you coming home? What are you doing? And I said to him, you see, it's not that easy to get out of the shop, is it? Things to do, things to put away. So we had our Christmas party for our grandkids, and it was a little crazy. We had our moments, but most of the time it was really fun. One of the kids got locked in a closet. Somebody put something down the toilet and clogged it. So when you have a party, you try to clean your whole house, but I thought, okay, I'm letting my bedroom go because nobody is going to go up there. Well, wrong, because when the toilet clogged, everybody said, hey, can we use your bedroom, the bathroom off your bedroom? So, the best laid plans. My little grandson Tobin was in a Christmas play. Now this is preschool, and there were 6 girls and 2 boys. I think he had stage fright because he looked just really dazed. And he kept telling me, Grandma, it's really long, it's really long. Well, 45 minutes is a long time when you're 5 years old standing on a stage singing all these songs. But my daughter and I sat together, and about the second song, he's standing there looking dazed. And I heard this comedian, and he said there's always one kid that just goes crazy. So the little girl beside him, she's like all drama, singing these songs with flair, and he's just standing there like this. And so about the second song, in tune to the music, he's putting his fly up, down, up, down, up, down. My daughter and I just looked at each other and kind of smirked, like, okay. One of my grandsons, Tobin's older brother, one time was at the same church in a program, and he was supposed to read the scroll commanding Mary and Joseph to go to Bethlehem, and he got a nosebleed. I heard my son-in-law say later, I told you to stop picking your nose or it would bleed. Oh, goodness. So, on the last podcast, I mentioned a couple things that I need to clear up. I said, if you want your stripes to be even, we call them jogless stripes, you change colors, you knit the first row. The first stitch of the second row, you slip it, but you want to slip as if to purl. So that's the important part. I also talked about a yarn called Umina that is an Aran weight, but it's thin. And I showed you some projects done with it, and I said it blooms. Well, somebody asked me, what do you mean? Some yarns, as they're being knitted or after, they puff up, they expand. So that is why a thin yarn might actually be an Aran weight yarn. So I guess you just have to do a swatch, maybe let it sit a little while. One designer recommended doing a swatch if you're going to make a garment. Pin it inside a garment that you wear a lot, and let's see how it wears, see how it washes, see if you're happy with it. So it's time to think about the new year, and oh, my dog is laying at the base of this. Let me see if I can show you Hartley. I don't think you can really see him. If he knows I'm going to take his picture, he'll turn his back to me, but I want to learn to insert photographs, so maybe I can do that this podcast. So a couple patterns that I want to be able to do coming up is the Cracker Old English Dog. Isn't that cute? You do that with furry yarn, and then you poof it out. And everybody that's done it, he's turned out really cute. You do a loop stitch, but one of the ladies that did it said she didn't do the loop stitch. So this is a pay pattern. I think it's $6, and hopefully I'll have him to show you. I grew up as a kid watching this show called Please Don't Eat the Daisies, and they had an Old English sheepdog. And when I read the book later in life, it said that this dog would climb up on top of the piano and take naps. And when they had visitors, their eyes would bug out, like, how? And they're like, I don't know, we can't stop it. We just don't even try. So, I got my dog Hartley. He's really come into his own. He was a big hit at the Christmas party with all the kids, although he did have to duck in the back bedroom partway through the party and take a nap, but the kids just followed him and pet him anyway. Well, there was another cute dog at Good Old Tales called Jay, just a little guy, and he wore a sweater, and I was actually at the vet the day he got his stitches out because he had a mass at his back end, and he came right up to me and snuggled up to me. And I started to think that he would be a great shop dog, and he could also go upstairs with me. And I said something to my husband, and he wasn't receptive. Well, we've been married now. Tomorrow will be 17 years, and I have gotten dogs and pets already when my husband didn't want that, and it caused a lot of problems, and I don't want to do that again. But I kept thinking that Jay was mine, that he would be mine. And I kept looking at him on the website. And so today, I got on my email and I was going to ask Megan of Good Old Tales if she would bring Jay by to see if they would get along. Because even though Hartley doesn't have teeth, when he first got to Good Old Tales, he attacked Jay. So as I went to write to her, she said, Jay got his forever home yesterday. And I cried. And then my husband felt bad. And I said, I didn't tell you that to make you feel bad. I'm sure it worked out just the way it was supposed to. And, so our expectations. I want to do these. The Bracken fingerless gloves done in a DK. Now, I didn't get any Christmas presents made for family, and I told myself that 2019 I was going to. Nobody said anything. They didn't say, oh, no knitted objects for us this Christmas. But I think the yarn I'm going to do that with is Lanagatto Camel Hair, which is a DK weight yarn. It's very nice and soft. I'm also working on a Ranunculus. It's a short top with Finley lace done on a 10.5 needle. And let me tell you, that pattern has knitting abbreviations and things in there that I've never done. These things were new to me. I'd never even heard of them, and it really makes it fun. Kind of put everything on hold to work on this Christmas stocking. I had a pattern out of Knit Simple, and because I'm not a good sock knitter, which I hope to change that, I followed the pattern. At the heel, I guess, for it had you bind off an area in a point, and then bind off another area in a point, and then pick up stitches. Well, it looked like a double heel. It looked like a W, and I had to rip all that out. And then when I was sick, I asked my husband to bring home US 6 double points for me. And that night when I went to work on the stocking, he said, I forgot them. So my first day back at the shop, Saturday, I wasn't really feeling great, was a horrendous day. We got a new credit card machine. It would not work. I got tied up on support on the phone while customers were waiting and waiting and waiting. And the day just kept going. And instead of getting home early, I got home 90 minutes late. It was bad. I did remember to bring the size 6 double pointed needles home. And that night when I went to work on the stocking and I opened up the pack of needles, they were empty, shoplifted. So finally, I just followed another sock pattern and went to town on it. While I was sick, I did read a book about the Quay Creek miners in Somerset County, Pennsylvania in 2002, where 7 miners were alerted and got out. 9 miners were trapped. 70, I forget how many feet down there, some like 248 feet for 77 hours. Right before the end of the shift, the guy operating the machinery hit a neighboring mine, which their map said that mine was like 300 feet away, and 75 million gallons of water poured in. And talk about a harrowing time. It's also strange for a woman to get inside a man's head and see how they think. It was such an amazing book that I got my son a copy for Christmas. They were rescued. They thought they were going to die, but they were rescued. 2 of the men especially loved mining. One was the supervisor, and when they were rescued, their family said, "You're never going back down. You're never going back." You know, I know what a week off the yarn shop did to me. I didn't want to go back. Now that's crazy because this is my passion. Once I got there, it was okay. So I had to follow up and see what happened. It took 7 years to get a settlement, and only the supervisor went back to mining. The rest hung it up. So what else do I want to make? This is a book called First Frost, and I've had this book on the yarn shop shelf for a long time, but I started to fall in love with it. There's the little Tomte, I guess it's called, Swedish and Norwegian, known in Denmark, live in the forest. And I like a lot of the mittens and sweaters. But what caught my eye to make, there's a cute little stuffy. It's a squirrel. I thought that was cute. There's a nice tapered scarf. So now that the shawl craze is over, what is everybody knitting? There's a cute top. But the reason why, I really want to do those mittens, but they're done in a fingering weight yarn. Here's a funny story about our Christmas party. Tobin is the youngest. All the other kids are older, more serious. So everybody just thought he was so cute, so enthusiastic. It was kind of sad because this is the first year that no one in our family wanted to dress up in the Santa suit. The teenagers now are too self-conscious. My husband was too tired. My son said no. I did that before. The one son-in-law said no. When my twin grandsons, who are now teenagers, when they were probably about 3, their dad dressed up as Santa. It was our 2nd year of having the Santa suit. Gavin went to Santa and sat on his lap, but Ethan was terrified and he was crying. And I felt so sorry for him. And it was his turn to go sit on Santa's lap, and he was really having a meltdown. So I took him outside in the cold, and I cuddled him, and I said, "Honey, it's your daddy." And he went, like he didn't know whether to laugh. He was crying. And so he went in. He was fine with Santa. And then I see him whispering to his twin. And after my son-in-law gets out of the Santa suit, comes back up, they said, "Dad, where were you?" Kind of winking at each other. "Where were you when Santa was here?" I have to tell you, though, the first year of the Santa suit, I found the Santa suit during the summer at I think a yard sale. It was in great shape. And showed it to my husband, and I guess he forgot about it. And when I sent the invitations out to our children for our family Christmas party, I said there is going to be a surprise. My daughter Tiffany calls and says, What's the surprise? And I said, I'm not telling. You're going to have to wait. My husband says to me, what is the surprise? And I'm like, you are. You don't remember? Here's the funny thing. That night of the party, we have snow on the ground. It's cold outside. And the house is full of children racing around. The noise level's high. We have music going. My husband says to me, okay, it's time. I'm going to go down the basement and get into the Santa suit. So you have these fake boots. You have the suit, the belt, the beard, the hat, and the bag of toys. He goes down the basement, puts the suit on. He comes up the garage steps into the garage. And what he didn't think about, and I didn't either, is that it was pitch black dark. Then he steps in a bucket of the dog's water, a galvanized bucket. Now he has his foot stuck, this fake boot stuck. He tells me all this later, explaining why he was a grumpy Santa. He finally gets his foot out. He manages to get through the garage. He goes over to the side fence and it's frozen shut. Now it's a wet, cold foot. He's cold. His Santa glasses are fogged up. He finally sits down his bag, finally manages to get the gate open. Comes around to the front, past the big picture window. Nobody notices him. Rings the doorbell repeatedly. Nobody hears him. Our granddaughter went to the door, apparently saw him and said, oh no, Grandpa, and ran away. Eventually I thought, where is he? And I went to the door and there he was, standing out there in the cold. So then we bring him in by the hot fireplace and his glasses steam all up, and apparently the beard is driving him crazy, itching, and he's like, who's next? Let's go, kid. And my son said, where did you get this Santa? So it's kind of sad. Nobody wanted to dress up like Santa. I thought about it. I thought, I don't know. But Tobin put on the elf hat, and he was the helper, and he was so excited. Well, we put just a small gift for everybody in the Santa bag. And his gift was these gloves that have like 4 different polka dots on each finger that light up with different colors. His mother asked me to get them for him. But when he opened the box, all he saw was gloves. And he went, why am I getting gloves? Poor kid. But he liked them when he tried them on. So I brought this book home because I want to make, they have really colorful socks too. And I want to make, I like the mittens too. I think you can get this book pretty cheap on Amazon. The Norwegian word for frost is harma. These are socks made out of an aran weight, and it is half of the Norwegian star. So I want to make them for my husband, and I think they ought to knit up quickly. And the yarn I've chosen is Concept. My husband's funny about wool, cotton, merino in these colors, a dark blue and a light gray. So I hope that's a winning combination. I know a lot of men are afraid of color. And this is a pattern that I bought, and I thought I was going to make everybody in the family a pair of these Ferryboat knits by Churchmouse Classics. And the thing that is supposed to be really special about them is the thumb. And they come in small, medium, medium, large, on a US 6 needle, in a, I think a worsted weight yarn or a DK, worsted weight yarn. So I think everything my husband does for me, he deserves some fingerless mitts. And then also my little granddaughter Gabby, who does appreciate knitting and is not afraid. I found this cute little top called the So Sweet Tank. Now, I don't know if she'll like the eyelash yarn at the bottom or not, and that's where you actually start the pattern. So I'm going to ask her. In the book, it was done, this is the name of the book, and it takes an Aran weight cotton. So she really likes girly colors. I think I'm going to use Katia Bari, either this color or this color. I'm going to show them to her when I give her her Christmas gift. She didn't make it to the party, and see what she likes. That's a win-win. When you involve the person you're knitting for, I mean, look how cute. In the project, then you know that they're going to like it and they're going to wear it. And I also really like this crocheted vest in this Katia book called Chick. I really like that, the one right there with my finger. I think vests have kind of made a comeback. And I'd like to do a knit along with this top called Rift. And you do it in a sport weight yarn. And I have lots of ideas about what yarns I could use. And I don't know if I have them or not. I try to bring, the vest I just showed you is done with a linen yarn. And don't know if oh, here, right in front of me. Sulka Nina in the sport weight, I think would make the Rift top really, really nice. Here's some of the colors. Again, it's a baby alpaca merino silk yarn, and you get lots of yardage. So I think one of these, or the other option would be Rainbow Beach, which is a wool yarn. I think it depends if you want to wear it for summer, but I think that that would be a fun knit along for January, because usually after women are done with Christmas knitting, they're ready to do something for themselves. And I believe this is going to be the year of the garment. I've also had this book for quite a while. Chadwick was an Aran weight yarn that's no longer available. And there's just so many things in this book that I like. I like this top. And I really would like to get to the place that I could knit for my granddaughters. We have beautiful teenage granddaughters, about 6 of them. We have 19 grandkids. And I think this top is pretty. And here's the front of it. And there it is. Talk about creative. One of my customers had to pick her daughter up at gymnastics. So she's sitting there knitting, waiting for her granddaughter. And she came in and showed me this scarf she made. And at first I wasn't understanding what she was telling me. She said, this is a gymnastics scarf. And the twists are their, leaps. And the garter stitch area is the balance beam. And this is when they do this. And it was so neat. So I'm going to try to encourage her to write that up for everybody. So what else? Well, since I read about the Creek miners, now I'm reading The Wreck of Andrea Dora, about the shipwreck. Wow, that's an amazing story too, of all the rescues. I know that the holidays are not always happy for everybody. And when I was practicing medicine and I had to do call on Christmas, I would get a lot of calls from people who just really wanted to talk to somebody. But after my dog Ellie died, and I cried a lot, I was looking up tears. And the way God made us, everybody's tears can be different. And tears have toxins in. You know, when you get upset, you get body odor. But tears under an electron microscope can look differently. Like there's the tears you cry when you cut an onion. That's one type of tears. And I think they look like ferns. Look this up. It's really fascinating. When you yourself are upset because of your emotions, those tears look like a city from an aerial view. And in ancient times, when you went to a funeral, they had a little bottle, which you can still buy, that they would pass around and collect the tears. It was felt that the more tears in the bottle, the more important you were. So people would hire professional criers to cry into the bottle. There was also some type of a top that would allow evaporation. And if you were a widow, your mourning time was over when all the tears had evaporated. It's quite a story. But for any of you that are lonely out there this Christmas, Merry Christmas. Be kind to yourself and find somebody to talk to. Find a good book. Go out and get one of these pets that need love. And, you know, if you can't get around well or you're old, I mean, there are little dogs that will use a box or a pad and, you know, get that inner joy and remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. And shine, baby, shine. I'll see you in the new year. God bless.